Morning, guys. Mark Fresh, Protect Dog Training, and Big Boy. We are going to do a side profile today underneath the gazebo. Nice shade spot in the park. It is hotter than pajamas today. It's supposed to be 102 today, and I looked at this morning's forecast, and it was only less. All right, so what this is, for those that don't know what it is, it's called the Dopamine Box. Now, for the longest time, I would see certain trainers put this subject on their list, and they would start talking about it, the dopamine box, and they would show the dog putting his head into it and dropping food into the box. But nothing was ever explained as far as the breakdown of why the dopamine box is used, what applications it can be used for, and the whole process of why do we use the dopamine box. Well, this comes back into high energy outflow dog like I've got with an attention span that can float. So capping, getting him used to the 2-ball is a form of capping. Yep, teaching him to wait that I've talked about already, that I've basically taught him to settle and wait from a very young age. His whole life will be full of that, because in regards to what he's going to probably be doing is being stimulated towards bite work, etc. Couche. He's going to have a lot of things that take him sideways real quick, right? So the dopamine box is a concentration. Think of it as concentration aspect. He's waiting for that food to drop into it as you build in this behavior. And he's waiting for it to drop in. It drops in, it comes out of nowhere. All of a sudden it'll tinkle. Maybe it's a kibble. I've got hot dogs today. We haven't started it. I don't know if he can even reach into this box. It was built for more of an adult dog, but it's a nice box. And I bought it and never have used it. And now I'm going to probably start trying to apply it with him, because I know that a lot of what he's got to learn is how to get his brain to settle and stay settled. Clarity, right? Clarity in the work. Nope. Asi. Couche. Good. Now I'm going to start expecting more out of his posture in the back. I'll start giving more of a correction attitude instead of just a discomfort, right? I'll make sure he understands he's got to do it. Yep. Good. There you go. Are you ready? You ready? Oh, good boy. Get it. Good boy. Get it. Okay? He's still a little bit too small to get all the way down into it. Good boy. Good. Good boy. Good. There you go. Get it. Get it. See, so the edge of it's a little too high for him. So that's what I was looking for today, to find out how he did. He get a little bigger and his neck gets a little longer. He can stretch in there and get that food. That's what we want, right? Good. Now you can use anything. I can use a bowl, a cardboard box. Doesn't matter what it is, as long as the object's coming above his head and dropping in out of nowhere. So you're going to start building a behavior of him waiting for the food to drop. Good. This is a concentration exercise. It's called the dopamine box because dopamine is associated with get it, with the excitement and the reward delivery, right? Basically, dopamine is created. It's a chemical in the brain that creates a euphoria and happiness and stimulation and all kinds of things that are going on with that chemical, the dopamine, that's released into the brain, into the dog. And this is a big part of understanding when we talk about drive, when we're talking about things like this, especially with a drivey breed like a Dutch Shepherd, especially with my bloodlines, etc. And so this is basically concentration, right? He sees it. He's going to hear it. I'm going to use kibble to kind of tinkle it in there at some point. Right now, I'm just dropping it in through his nose. Good. And getting him used to associating this behavior of sticking his head into the box, right? Now, he's having a hard time because he can't get to the bottom of the box, so he's having to, and he's not very comfort, right? We're back to that comfort aspect. It's not very comfortable for him to be trying to reach in there and get this. So I need more food drive, meaning I should have robbed him of food this morning before I start this, so that he's a lot hungrier. That drive will carry him through the hunger aspect of things. Good. This is just a way to see how this is going to work right now. I'm just playing, basically. As soon as he looks at it, I'm going to drop it in there, if he does. There it is. Okay. And he doesn't want to grab it because of the fact that he doesn't have as much hunger drive as he should, because I already fed him this morning, and the heat's dissipating it too. Heat's going to rob him of having appetite, right? Good. So all these things. So you see this stuff when you start playing with something, and you say, okay, I need to starve him into it a little bit. I need to let him grow up a little bit so he gets a little bit bigger so he can get in there without any problems. Or I need to switch the object and use a pan, a box, something that's lower to the ground that he doesn't have to be discomfort when he's reaching into it. So right now, that's all I'm doing. I'm just trying to, this is his first association of something that's going to be used in his development. Good. And think of it as a concentration tool, but it's called the dopamine box because it floods the brain with dopamine. Because of the aspect that he's waiting for that relief. When you go to reward, it's not the reward of eating the food that really gives him that dopamine dump. It's the anticipation of what's going to happen. See it? Okay? What's going to happen ahead of time, that he starts to associate what's going to happen ahead of time, right? Because now he's there, and all of a sudden food comes out of nowhere, right? And it's in the box. It's in a place that's creating the behavior of him searching and seeking, right? That nature of a dog to search and to seek something is so strong, it's not even funny. It's a big part of a dog. I would say good 90% of a dog's life is in his nose, whether you realize it or not. It's hard for us to understand this because we don't live in a world where our nose drives us. We live in a world where sound and sight drives us more, right? Good. Assis. Couché. Good. So I'm finding it very useful to ask AI a lot of different questions, and AI will come up with something that's neutral without any biases in their answer, okay? So when I was doing it, I says, can you give me a dopamine box in regards to dog training? What is it used for, and what are the applications for it, right? And so I ask AI that, and I use Gemini. Real simple. I don't get any of the advanced ones, but in a general sense. And then boom, AI come back and it gave me a really good glossary and overview of what the dopamine box was all about and what it could be used for, right? There's where I started to get something, because most trainers have accent points and they may be missing a whole other aspect of what you're trying to explain or why this is used. That's what's important to me. What is the use for it? How can I use it? How can I tweak it? How can I get it to work for me and what I'm applying it for? Well, to me, right away with this breed of dog and how energy he is, how much energy he has, how much ability to get distracted, to be affected by stimulus, right? You see the PSA as an example. How much stimulation are they doing with those dogs jumping out there, 2, 3 different guys in suits, and all the noise and the balls on the ground and all the things that they're getting that dog to do within that sport that's asking the dog to be able to concentrate and have clarity in the work, right? So there is a method to the madness. That would be the biggest thing that I see in PSA. When I look for a sport, I look to see what can I use in training methodology, what can I use in the application, and how is that going to apply, and be beneficial for me in my training program. Well, PSA is that distraction, overall stimulation that the dog has to deal with. Now, there's where we get into it again. I don't like PSA because when it gets into 3 and 4 and 5 different decoys, you pass the point of being useful. You're never going to have something like that happen to you in real life. It's just not going to happen, right? Guys yelling at the dog and coming at the dog and doing all the things that they do. I would never take a dog to a PSA 3. I don't want a dog so dedicated to a sport and a criteria, that's only useful to me on the field, right? I would rather build a dog that is like Oscar's starting to do. When Oscar first started, he was only in the sport. And now you see him starting to mesh and starting to mix his applications towards law enforcement so that he has a well-balanced dog. You can take the dog anywhere he wants to. If he wants to sell him as a police dog, he can, because he's built the dog with a very balanced mix of how he's building the dogs, right? And that took a while for him to kind of figure out, but now you see his training philosophy is kind of changing, and now he's meshing. He's making it so that you can have either or both, right? There's no reason you can't have a personal protection dog and that would qualify for protection for police work, right? If you build it right, right? If you get too static and too stiff and only doing the scenarios that you're doing in sport, then that dog is only good for the sport field, period. That's why you see cops going over to Europe, and they won't usually take a Schutzhund 2 and 3 anymore. They want a green dog. They want a BH, right? They want a dog that maybe has a 1 on him, and that's it, okay? Because too much makes the dog get locked into that sport, and now he needs a scenario to stimulate him, to get him to see those pictures, and he now is getting overwhelmed with specificity of that sport that's going to take him away from being viable in a real situation, in real life, right? Dog gets too equipment orientated, maybe, let's say, right? Too fixated on certain things that are, they're very drawn. Nope, come here. Come on, let's go. That are very specific to that sport, that takes them away from being a real practical application in real life, right? Yep. Myself, I always wanted the dog, and I always do want a dog that's well balanced, that I can take anywhere I want to. You know, like a Dutch, when I built him as personal protection, but that dog I knew could go to a cop shop. Why? Because how I was building him, what I was doing with him, right? Good. Going into large walls of paper boxes or into the sheds, into these containers, any of that type of work. Or you see Oscar even starting with that young shepherd he's got, the baby. He's sitting there, come out now with your hands up. You know, he's yelling these things. He's getting the dog used to it. Yep. So that dog can be taken any direction he wants to if they want to go towards police. But here's the thing. Police dogs don't give us any money. We don't get any monetary return on police dogs. They don't make us any money. Yeah, they make us feel good because we know the dog's out there doing his job. And for anybody that's worth his salt, the dog trainer, that is something that we really admire and want to see. I want to see my dogs out there on the street doing something that fulfills the function that society needs them, and doing a job out on the street. There's no better high, no better feeling of satisfaction than me knowing that I've got dogs out there that are on the street working, right? That is definitely a high, but I couldn't make money at it because they've got their price point so far down the ladder that you couldn't make a living at it. You can't, they only want to pay maybe $5,000 if I'm lucky for a dog that comes towards police work, right? They usually have a ceiling of $5,000–6,000. Now it's probably a lot more expensive to get the dogs over here and to start their program, which means there's more money involved. They got to pay the green dog school, send the officer through the school with the dog, all that. That's more money in their budget, right? Now they look at also time. Time is money, right? So how long does it take to get that dog on the street? So a lot of times you'll see most of these green dog schools, like Al the Horse Police Dog Kennel, it's a six-week program. They put the dogs and the handler through, and the handler's usually green, doesn't know diddly squat, and he's learning, he's growing with his animal. Yep. And then when he gets done, he gets to go from the green dog school into their department. And they usually have, 4, 5, 6 canines, depending on how big the department is, that can end up giving that officer what he needs to keep growing and understanding his job as far as application within what they needed on the street, right? Yep. Yes, good boy, good. That's my boy, he's good. He's good. Yeah, good boy, good. All right, so we're getting a little sidetracked. I'm going to take off here and run the park with him, go up and over tables. It's hot, like I said. It's very warm today. All right, talk to you guys later. Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training. I like it. As soon as he stuck his head in there it is, okay? Good. This is the association I want him to have with this box, which is to put his nose and wait for that next object to come dropping in. Good. So I succeeded with my goals for today, just with this box alone. Good. Now I'm going to switch to kibble at some point so it has a lot of a sound association. Right now it's barely dropping. But I got the right association, and he's learning to get into it now. So I don't think I need to wait for him to get bigger. I think he can just learn to do this and develop through it. Notice him reaching farther and deeper. So this is basically, if I was to break it down and explain a dopamine box, it's to give him a better ability to concentrate and stay focused for longer. It's a focus tool, right? For longer periods of time. And so they learns to wait and be patient that it's coming, right? Good, good. That's good stuff. All right, Mark Ferrasci, Protect Dog Training, signing off with Big Boy. Talk to you later.